It's gonna take a while, chat. It's gonna take a while, but I really, the more I look at like actually buying a property in my life, like this seems like the only viable option.
Panda, 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 panda. I got broads in Atlanta. Just to lean the family. Credit card.
Right? Because if I want to live in the city, I'm gonna get fucked. But if I want to live in Narnia, I'm still gonna get fucked, but it's gonna be less fucked. Just living in New, I don't think, chat. I feel like it's fully Canadian chatters in BC probably understand this better than anyone, but it's nearly impossible to grasp just how insane the situation is. Like, I know in America it's bad, you know, I spent my whole life. But chat, when I say that you cannot find a piece of land for less than like $1.2 million, a shack, it could be a burned down house. You cannot find a piece of land in the Sydney area within 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers for less than $1 million. Like, there is nothing. Tokyo's not that bad the moment you get out of the main prefectures, Chile. Tokyo actually doesn't have a housing crisis. Japan doesn't. If you want to live in like Shinjuku or Shibuya, yeah, or like what's the other one? Fuck, I can never remember. It starts with an S. Yeah. My state's the most expensive. It sucks. Sydney is the most expensive real estate on the planet. Chat. I just don't. It is. It just beat Vancouver. Yeah. Manhattan would like a word. I promise, guy. It's more expensive than Manhattan. It literally just like came out this year that Sydney is more expensive. Why? God knows. There's no how. It's unbelievable. In Australia, to own a piece of land in Sydney, in the area, the entire, between Sydney and Brisbane almost, you have to make $300,000 a year. Like, to even get, it's just terrible. And it's different. The main reason is because they don't build anything, because everyone's retirement here is directly tied to the housing market, chat. That's why it's different than America. In America, your retirement is not. Your retirement's tied to the market as a whole, right? The Roth IRAs, you know, things like that, or 401ks are tied to like insurance companies and car companies. In Australia, the entirety of everyone's retirement is directly tied to land value. And that is it. It is not tied to anything else. Well, okay, I think you guys also are tied to the mining industry too, but like negative gearing has fucked you. Yeah, your super is market based, but your super is made up of like all real estate investors. It's insane. It's insane. No one wants to build anything because it hurts your shit. Yeah, there's mining. Australia's actually in a resource-based economy and not a service-based economy, which is kind of interesting because it would be, if it was distributed, it would be like the most prosperous nation in the world. Very unique. It's the only Western-based resource economy in the world. Yeah. Kind of interesting. Yeah. So, but we give it away for free. Well, a little bit. I mean, you have like Reinhardt and shit, and those people, it's not that you give it away for free, it's that it's consolidated into like 4 people own like all of your wealth. Right? That's kind of sick. Yeah, we watched a whole video about it. I didn't know. Yeah, anyways, Australia refuses to build more homes because it would directly hurt the retirement of like everyone here. It's like probably I mean, it's probably like the least amount of development in the world is in Australia, at least homes, right? But I will say this, I don't think that's necessarily entirely true, right? Like, I feel like I'm spoiled that I want a home, but if like I didn't work from home, I wouldn't care about living in an apartment as much. I live in an apartment now, and it's also not bad. Like, I love it. Like, I have a, you know, we have like a lobby and everything. Like, it's nice. It's safe. It's great. I live next to everything. But like, Sydney is building a lot of apartments. Like, there's so many apartment things going up next to us. You know what I mean? Did the plumber do a good job? Oh my god, I finally have water pressure in my kitchen and it's insane. Oh my, chat, it's like being born again. It's, oh my, and we got a double the size hot water heater now, brand new one. Our hot water heater was actually already new and we somehow convinced them to replace it. Chat, our hot water heater was put in 2019. 4,000 a month, luxury suites, roach special. Actually, another interesting thing about Australia, okay? Renting is not that bad. Buying is insane, but the rental prices in Australia are like an average American city. Not like New York. New York is way bad, way worse. LA is way worse. But renting is not too bad, even in Sydney. Like, my rent in Sydney is less than I paid in Austin for a house, but like almost the same size. Maybe a little bit. My apartment's a little bit smaller, right? Do you think you'll ever leave Australia? Nope. 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 I love it. In American, yeah. So in Austin, for a 3-bedroom house in Cedar Park, which is like kind of a nice suburb, right? It's not too bad. I paid right around $2,000. I paid like $1,900, but I had a yard and everything in Austin, like a fire pit in my yard and stuff. Remember? That's not too bad, right? The house was kind of a piece of shit, but I was in like a decent suburb, you know, wasn't too bad. In where I live now, I live much closer to the city, but I live like, there's stuff all around me. I can walk anywhere. But it's an apartment and it's probably like, I don't know, 200 square feet smaller. And I pay about exactly the same price in American, right? USD. So that's pretty good, right? Like, that's not bad, because Sydney's like the equivalent of LA, like, if you think about it. So it's not too bad. Right? Mortgage or renting is not too bad in Sydney. I mean, in Australia in general, but Sydney is still incredibly more expensive than like anywhere else, but it's still pretty bad. You know? Cedar Park does not suck. What? Cedar Park is like the perfect suburb to live in if you don't want to live in the city. I like Cedar Park. I think if you get further than Cedar Park's not bad. Round Rock's not bad. If you live out in like fucking Georgetown or Leander, you're fucking in Narnia, bro. That place fucking so far. I guess you could live like... Living in the city, though, is not too expensive in Austin either. Not too bad. I don't mind Cedar Park. Cedar Park is like where every fucking family lives. Like all old people. Why don't people invest in 401k's market for retirement? They do. It's called your super, which is like a government-run market fund, but it's tied to real estate. The Australian market is deeply tied to real estate here. Right? Yeah. Yeah, admitted. Yeah, the 401k is real estate. Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting scenario here. Here's another thing that will probably end up dooming Australia, chat. Another thing that will end up dooming Australia is the fact that every mortgage you get is adjustable. Every single one. In Australia, the interest rate, you get a mortgage. What? Yeah, I learned this. Yeah. Every single one is adjustable, right? Every 5 years they renegotiate your interest and it changes. That when I was looking into, or I guess you can negotiate, but you'll never get the lowest rate that way, right? Because when I was looking, it says every 5 years you get a new interest rate. Yeah. You don't get 30-year fixed in Australia. Yeah. In America you do, because the adjustable rate mortgages sunk the United States, the world economy. In Australia, every 5 years, your mortgage adjusts regardless. Like, it does not change. But it can't go above a certain percent, chat. Does that make sense? So, like, for example, it can't swing, like, wildly, right? It can swing, but there's, like, a cap. Does that make sense? Like, right now, the average mortgage rate is 6%, I think. I was looking at it yesterday. Which means that in 5 years, if it goes down, let's say to 2%, I don't think mine would readjust to 2%, but it would go down a lot. But that also means if it goes up to 9% or 8%, it'll go up to that, right? I don't think you change lenders every 5 years. I think they just refinance or reevaluate. Yeah, also, apparently it's really easy to change. It's way different than America, though, Replay. Yeah. I change? You change yours? Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I'm learning about it. It's completely different than the way we do it in America. It's so weird. Yeah, it's so different, chat. It is so different. Your contract says that you revert to the variable rate at the end of the fixed period. Seamless? Yeah. It's just weird. In America, you could never have that. I mean, they did, and then it caused the 08 recession. Well, kind of. Part of it, yeah. You're also paying a fuck ton more in taxes? No, my effective tax rate is exactly the same as the United States. Pay the same amount. Literally to the dollar, almost. Yeah, my tax rate, the brackets here are a little bit different, but every country in the world pays nearly the same exact, right? So, yeah. Do you know how much healthcare costs here, chat? I think people don't understand. Your healthcare stipend or whatever at the end of the year, do you know how much it is? $300 for everyone, and that's it. It's $300. The dentist is kind of expensive, but it's not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, only if you earn over a set amount too. Do you still have to pay tax on your income? Yeah, but there's an agreement, right? So because there's an agreement between Australia and the United States, when if I pay anything to America, I get a receipt, and then I can show that receipt to the Australian government and they won't double tax me. It'll count as a credit. But it'll change next year because I'm a resident now. So after a year, it's like, after a year, you get a waiver from the American government up to like a certain dollar amount. I don't know what it is. I forget. It's quite a bit. And as long as I don't make over that, I don't pay anything. So I'm not yet, Replay. I'm still waiting. But once I get it. I'm just getting ready to pay my taxes now. This will be my first time. I still don't have a tax number. They haven't given me yet, so I have to call them. Did you discover a 0% tax glitch? No, I pay here. I pay Australian taxes. And I pay American taxes. So. From what I see, fixed rate is an option. Only 6 out of 100 mortgages are in AU. If you want the certainty, they are available, though uncommon. Yeah, that makes sense. I've just never seen one. Everywhere I look, it says readjust. Yeah. Which is better to pay into, Social Security or whatever Australia has? I mean, the Australian system is way better, but you'll see. Can we swap citizenship? I want U.S. citizenship. I have Australian citizenship. You don't want American citizenship. It doesn't. There's no benefit. Yeah. Super is backed by the government, which is like Social Security. It's a little bit different. I think the whole idea is it's like a kind of like a fund, right? It's a I think it's called a super fund, right? It's like other countries have it, a sovereign fund, kind of, but a little bit different, right? It's kind of like a sovereign fund or a sovereign wealth fund or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah, like a national pension. Yeah, a national 401k or some shit. Because Social Security isn't like that. It doesn't operate that way. Social Security operates like a trust, kind of, in the United States. A little bit different. The Social Security is like one good thing the Americans do, but yeah. I assume Australia has a tax treaty. Yes, but most countries in the world have a tax treaty with the United States. Yeah, that's Norway as well, Carrie. Yeah, Norway has a big one. Anyways, it's just it's interesting learning about all this stuff because it's like completely different. Do you become an Australian citizen? I would like to one day. You know? Wait, why can't you cross the border into the United States? Now the real question is, if you could do it all over again with Shira and Cuba, would you? Or is Australia comparable enough for you? Yeah, I mean, more than likely she'd want to stay in America, but I mean, I don't really care where I live as long as I can stream. So I don't really care where I live as long as I can stream. Not to sidetrack, but concerning how you said the Nelk boys probably weren't given any rules in the Netanyahu. Wait, were they? The Nelk idiots were given